you have a high salary but still feel broke, it is not your fault. What most people get wrong about salaries is that they are not designed to build wealth. They are meant to keep you stable and productive. After 7 years studying ultra-wealthy entrepreneurs as a tax lawyer, I discovered 3 things they did differently that lay the groundwork for their success. And most people fail miserably on all 3. 88% of millionaires are self-made, and the biggest thing they do differently is taking ownership of how they earn. They are entrepreneurs with enough influence in the business to decide how it operates. And most people don't understand the power that comes with ownership. A business owner gets to decide how their business is structured, what country it sits in, how they take money out of the business, which determines their income tax rate. Just think about the idea of being able to decide your own tax rate and what an advantage that is. Taxes are the #1 drag on wealth creation, so people are willing to put in a lot of effort to save money in this area. And that includes moving between countries to keep their wealth. Not only for themselves, but for future generations too. That's how you start building towards generational wealth. As a business owner, your job comes with you, which means that you can move anywhere as long as you have the means to support this transition. This opens up a world of options where founders can pick countries based on rules, perks, and how they want to live their life. A lot of countries want wealthy people to move there and contribute to the local economy, so they create rules that are attractive for business owners. Dubai is a great example of that with their 0% income tax rate, and a lot of founders have moved there from Western countries like the UK, simply because they want to keep more of what they earn. Now, compare that to an employee. Employees don't ever get to make these decisions because they don't own how they make money. On top of that, they can barely decide where they work, and they can't switch legislation or tax landscape if they would like to. The employer decides the salary, the government decides the tax rate. You get whatever is left. If an employee wants to move somewhere else, they need to get a new job. And moving internationally is hard because countries are strict on visas for employees. It requires employers to fork out a lot of money to pick a foreign candidate over a local one. Governments don't want foreigners to steal jobs from locals, so they have made employee visas expensive. So as an employee, you have very few options to level up in these areas compared to a business owner. And this goes on for the rest of your life, unless you change the system that you're in and take ownership of how you earn. And after spending 7 years working for business owners in these areas, I have learned that taking ownership of how you earn is the best thing you can do for yourself and the people you care about as well. So if you want to learn more about these things, you can sign up to my newsletter. You'll find the link in the description below. But keep in mind that owning how you earn requires upfront effort, and you need to know what you want to be able to get there. The majority of the 1% won't let an employer plan their life for them. They design their own life based on their goals and how they want to spend their time, and they take action towards that. They know their purpose because they have spent significant amounts of time developing that purpose. They are willing to sacrifice short-term fun for long-term fulfillment. This happens before they have all the answers. They believe in their own ability to make things work, and they don't wait for anyone's permission. They understand that none of the things they want are possible by trading all their time for a salary. So they create their own job. And they're not special. They're not born with any of these traits or abilities. But they want something different. So they are willing to invest time, effort, and money to make those careers sustainable. And they don't mind standing out and looking dumb in the process. Most people aren't willing to do this. They want to be given jobs, and their job titles becomes who they are. They choose steady career paths based on what their parents told them when they were teenagers. And now life is about working hard, buying a house, getting married, having kids, climbing the corporate ladder, and retiring at 65. Hopefully. People enter a career to make money and are not willing to spend time, effort, or money for an uncertain outcome. Most people think they have to compromise way too much, so they never start when it comes to entrepreneurship. They can't buy their dream home and start a business, so they never start the business. Instead, they get a big mortgage, buy the home, and stay stuck working for a paycheck forever. And they discount the fact that if they actually gave business a chance and became good enough, they could build a much nicer home later. Entrepreneurs care less about owning nice things and more about how they're spending their time. If they want to live somewhere specific, they build income in a way that lets them live there. If they want to be more present for their kids, they run their business in a way that gives them more freedom to do just that. They know that having more money gives them the capacity to focus on what matters to them. For them, everything they do needs to serve the life they're building towards. And this may sound like they are perfect and super intentional in everything they do. They're not, and they make a ton of mistakes and struggle as well. But they try to get 1% better every day. And that adds up. But this mindset isn't reserved for the 1%. You can apply the same logic to your own life today. So what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? How would you live if you didn't default to what you think is expected of you? Where would you live? How would you spend your time? What would your day-to-day look like? I know the tension between staying on a predictable path that pays well but costs you the life you want. And if you want to figure out how you can change this, you can book a call with me below to get started this week. You'll find the link in the description. But deciding life is only half the job. You also have to be willing to wait. Once you've made it in business, the amount of money you make is far more than the time you spend making it. But to get there, you need to do it the other way around first, which means spending far more time on the business than what you're getting out of it in terms of money. Unlike a job where you can work for a month and get salary for that month, you can work years in a business without getting a salary. And it is not because the business isn't profitable. In many cases, you actively choose that because you want to reinvest the earnings into growing the business. And in the beginning, that means choosing between a salary and growing the business. Reinvesting in the business also comes with tax advantages, because as long as the money stays in the business, it is tax-free. But if you take it out, you are paying taxes on the way. So as a new business owner, make sure that you think twice about taking money out of your business, and don't blow too much too soon. Most people look at this path and ask themselves, can I afford to take this risk? But entrepreneurs have learned to ask themselves the opposite question. They look at their life and ask themselves, can I afford to keep trading my one chance at life for a salary? Can I afford to not build the life I want and spend my healthiest years working on someone else's dream instead? When the answer is no, they plan their way out. The cost of leaving the comfort zone is right in front of you. It is your salary, your routine, and your safety. But the cost of not building something is way harder to see. So most people don't even think of it. But invisible costs usually show up as asking yourself, what if, much later, and regretting never trying. So if there's one thing that you need to think about to start building the life you want, it is how you're earning money. And to learn even more about making money like the 1%, watch this video next.